Pickup Lines is presented by Gamez Law Firm. Personal injury guidance for more than 50 years. Gamez Law fights. By Integrity Roofing and Siding. Family owned and operated for more than 40 years, serving the San Antonio area for roofing, siding, and renovation needs. And by the Sabinal Group. For nearly 20 years, serving the San Antonio region through professional minority general contracting services. Pickup Lines is broadcast from inside the all-electric Lexus RZ 450E, courtesy of North Park Lexus at Dominion and North Park Lexus of San Antonio. Well, good afternoon, everybody. This is Pickup Lines, the talk show in a car, and with the help of a little bus here, we have, we'll talk about El Jefe in just a little while. This is the legit El Jefe here. This is Jeff Arndt, the president and CEO of Via Metropolitan Transit, on a bit of a gloomy day here in San Antonio, but much like Via Metropolitan Transit, rain, sleet, snow, or hail, for the most part, you will continue to operate.
As long as it's safe to operate, we'll operate.
And I say the same with this show. As long as it's safe to continue, we will continue. I'm trying to think of the last time you had to shut service down, or that's a decision you would make, right?
That was back in that February storm.
The 2021?
Yeah, we had cars sliding into us left and right. We just decided it was best not to be out there.
The infamous Texas freeze, which I drove in myself because I was working at the TV station at the time, and may we never have to do that again.
I agree.
But you're in your line of work and in the job you're in, I would imagine you're on call 24/7 all the time.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Yeah. But as fate would have it, all good things must come to an end, as is the case with Jeff's tenure at Via. Retirement is in the not too distant future for you.
I have 25 working days in the office.
Who's counting?
But yes, who's counting, right?
25 more days.
Yes, I'm taking a vacation before I retire.
Okay.
That's just to get in practice.
Right. Do you think you're going to be a little bored, though? Are you going to miss all this?
I'm certain that it will take some significant adjustment.
Yes.
To not being on call 24/7.
Okay.
I know that from vacations, that I relax to a certain degree, and in the back of my mind there's this sense of, oh, what's about to happen? Right.
I can picture on vacation somewhere, name the city, wherever, and you'll see a bus or public transportation go by, and you'll immediately be like, oh, you'll start thinking about work.
Yes. Absolutely. Yeah. You can't help it.
I get it. I can appreciate that. But we're going to hold on to him as long as we can here. So this, 25 more working days will essentially round up. It's been, a little more than a decade that you've been with Via, right?
I will be at almost 13 years.
13 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
And what a run it's been for you, I guess. I was listening earlier to about, I think most people in our community know Via, right? They know the buses, they've seen the buses, or they've driven by the bus stops or the different places around town. But when you really think about some of the things you've done as a company, considering how large Via is, what you've been able to do in terms of technology, when you compare the Dallases and the Houstons and the Austins of the world, I mean, Via has a lot to brag about. It's literally an award-winning operation.
Absolutely. In fact, as most recently, we were recognized by the Texas Transit Association as the outstanding Metropolitan Transit Authority in Texas, despite the fact that if you look at the big four, which would be Houston, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, our funding is half to a quarter what others get. So we may bring in $250,000 a year for funding our system.
Right.
Houston Metro brings in over $1 billion for the same size service area, and still we deliver.
And I think some people may not realize as well, Via covers all of Bexar County, as opposed to just San Antonio.
Correct.
That's a lot of real estate.
It is. It's a second largest service area, second only to Houston Metro, and only by a very small amount.
Yeah. And you were in Houston
for 25 years.
Before you came to San Antonio.
Yes.
Right. But you originally grew up in Indiana, correct?
I'm a Hoosier.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes, you are. But I wonder what your earliest childhood memories of, because you went into traffic engineering and ultimately mass transit or public transportation. Was it a childhood memory? Did you ride public transportation? What were your earliest memories of that, and realizing that you would want to make a career out of that?
Oh, I think I'm like most people in public transportation, quite frankly. I grew up in a small town in Indiana. We did not have any public transportation. It was that small.
Okay.
It was that small. I did ride a school bus.
Okay.
that was my bus experience,
yes.
right? I rode a school bus, and of course, that's quite a different experience than riding a city bus.
Sure.
As far as the behavior of the passengers.
Well, that too.
If nothing else.
That too, right?
And then I went to Notre Dame,
yes,
and I got
did.
a degree in civil engineering. When I came out of school, I actually had a desire to do soil engineering. I think it was because I liked the tactile experience of playing with the mud. I really. Okay. But the job opened up in a traffic engineering
right.
company. So I did traffic engineering. I was in San Jose, California at the time.
Okay.
Spent a couple years out there, and then an office opened in Houston with this company, and they were looking for some more junior level people to round out the senior level people. Moved to Houston, got to work with Houston Metro, and
right.
I really started getting intrigued by that whole concept of knowing who and what you're delivering service for. If you think about it, when you build a freeway,
yeah,
I think most freeway engineers think in terms of the cars,
right,
and not necessarily
right.
the people in the cars. In transit, you don't have any choice but to think about the people you are carrying, because they're right there with you.
Well, the experience, right?
Yes, the rider experience is very important.
How long are they having to wait at a bus stop?
Correct.
Now, back then, Wi-Fi wasn't a thing, but now having Wi-Fi, having a clean bus, a sanitary bus.
Wi-Fi, I have to say.
Yes.
We were the first major transit system in America to introduce system-wide Wi-Fi on all our vehicles that had passengers
right.
on them. Now,
for free.
Now,
Yes.
San Jose, California, I mentioned I lived there for a while.
Okay.
They want to say that they think they beat us by some little amount of time. And I look at them and I say, you should be ashamed that San Antonio could possibly beat Silicon Valley in that. So that little amount of town is not worth talking about.
I agree. Here.
Yeah.
But you think about something like that, and I was in one of the Via buses recently, and they're pristine. I mean, and now, in a post-COVID era, I would think the emphasis on cleanliness and being sanitary and those is much heightened than it was maybe a decade ago.
No, it is not. It's always been like that.
It's always been
like that. It has always been like that. I say that we have two primary constituents. The first are our passengers,
right?
And we're concerned about the rider experience,
right?
Another plus I'll note is there's an organization that does a net promoter score type thing, which is how many strong supporters do you have versus strong detractors.
Right.
Okay. We have the highest net promoter score of any of the transit systems they work with. Our score is very similar to Apple and above Disney and more than double the average of the transit industry.
Get out of here.
So they're always going across the country bragging about, via Metropolitan Transit. Yeah. San Antonio has the highest score from their users.
Right.
Then the other thing they do is they do kind of a community survey about what does the community have value. And again, we're at that top of their list because we're concerned about the passenger experience clearly, but we're also concerned because it's the community that pays for VIA. Right?
Exactly. Literally, yes.
Yeah, through the sales tax.
Yes.
And again, we get very high scores with respect to our communities recognizing the value of VIA.
Right. Well, there are other things as well. I saw where if it's not all of them, many of your bus stops are sheltered or they have cover on them. Just something that a lot of people might take for granted or other cities or markets might not even consider. But when you think about how the elements can be here, and I mean, just look at right now, for example, the fact that you put a cover in seating, lights, those kinds of things, goes a long way. That's
another thing we got national attention for.
Right.
About a third of our bus stops are covered, have some sort of cover. In fact, when this article was printed about maybe it was pre-COVID, we had more sheltered bus stops than the city of Los Angeles did, and more covered bus stops than Houston Metro did. Now, we still have uncovered shelters for one of two reasons primarily. The first is that there's only one or two boardings a day, and you can't afford to have shelters everywhere.
Right.
But the other one, and this is where you might see more people at an unsheltered stop, is it does take a certain amount of space to put a shelter down.
Right.
And there are locations where there just is not enough public space, and the private space next door, they're not interested necessarily in a license agreement or whatever.
Got it.
Those are the ones I really would like to go after. They're the tougher ones to crack, but they serve the more customers.
How far have you come along in terms of wait times? Because I would think, especially when the weather is crazy, people's attention spans and patience levels are probably shrinking. But in your time that you've been with VIA, how much of a emphasis has been on just something like that? And how far have you come?
Okay, so first of all, I think it was Henry Cisneros who said I should have 3 F's in my name, Jeff F. Because I always say, like in real estate, where it's location,
yes.
It's frequency.
Yep.
It drives everything.
Yeah.
Pre-COVID, with the help of the city of San Antonio, because Ray Saldana had really pushed funding.
Former councilman.
He was a councilman, and he later became our chair for a limited period of time.
Yes.
He pushed getting funding so that we could increase frequency, and we did that on 18 routes. Every route had an increase in ridership, some of them as high as 23, 25, 27%, almost overnight.
But didn't he give up his car for a month or whatever?
That's where it came from.
And he said, you know what, it's like a social experiment.
Yep.
I'm gonna do public transportation for a month. I believe it was a month, right?
It was a month.
And that's what became of that.
That's what came of that. He said, you know what, your drivers are friendly, your buses are clean.
Yes.
Right? He says, the biggest problem I have is the frequency. And sometimes if you're coming off a bus and the other bus is every hour, you get a mighty long wait. Even if you have a shelter, an hour is a long time.
Sure, absolutely.
We had made great success until COVID, and then COVID cut the legs out from under us. Today we're not where we'd like to be, but we have a plan that we call the Better Bus Plan that we are moving toward implementation next year. And our objective is if a route is operating between 30 and 60 minutes, I call that a red route. And that we are like Visine, I call it Viazine. We want to get the red out.
Get the red out.
And that plan would have us completely eliminate 60-minute service.
I like it. Your marketing people are probably cheering and smiling right now. I love the play on words and everything. So put your traffic engineer hat on, if you will.
Yes.
And you've lived in San Antonio long enough to know that construction is just the way of life, and some people think it's endless. But if you were to put your traffic engineer hat on, in terms of grading San Antonio with the construction and the progress, is there a light at the end of the tunnel for all this?
I would like to think so.
Yes.
The city, of course, knows better, and I know that the way we fund projects locally with bonds that come up periodically, that probably that life cycle results in a lot of the construction, then it eases off. And certainly, this is an older city with a lot of old infrastructure, so I understand. And when they go in and SAWS has got infrastructure, they're sometimes not even aware of the condition of it. They find out. I recognize all that. I will say that it's one of the challenges to us because if you look at the number of routes that are on detour, they far outnumber the number of routes that are not on detour.
Right.
And these detours can come up like that, and trying to stay ahead of them and keeping the public informed. I was one time trying to ride the 100, which is the original Primo route, back from downtown to my office, and I couldn't figure out where the bus stop had moved because they closed the street off. Right.
Sure.
So that's kind of confounding and rerouting everything.
Yeah.
But we have seen the beginnings of some of the downtown streets reopening, and so that's going to be very helpful to us.
Have you ever driven a Via bus?
Not a Via bus. I drove a Houston Metro bus. When I came to Via, I said, you know what? Safety first, and therefore never let me get behind the wheel of a bus.
Okay, very good. I know tomorrow is the annual, like the rodeo. It's like the competition among some of your top drivers, and I was there last year, and I will be there in the morning. But I say that to say that watching these professionals do this, to try to maneuver one of those buses in a tight space with cones or to do it downtown, is like next level.
Yes.
Talent for me.
It's crazy. It is crazy. And thank you for being there last year.
No, of course.
Thank you for being there again this year. It adds a lot of
I can't take my eyes off it. You see them with the cones right there,
Yes.
and how they on inches on either side,
Yes.
they can move those buses in and out. It's crazy.
I used to always judge the very last event, which is they have barrels that are getting closer and closer.
Yes.
And the bus has to be at, I think, 25 miles an hour as they enter that. And they have to go through that. And then there's a little cone at the end.
Yes.
And they have to stop within 6 inches. And you can't see the cone.
No, you cannot.
At that point. The whole thing is amazing. And what I really like about it is it really lets us, let's face it, it's not quite like that on the street. It's probably worse sometimes, actually.
Sometimes, sure.
But I love that it allows these tremendous frontline employees, both in maintenance and in transportation, to show off their skills. And they need to be recognized. They all should be recognized. They are superheroes.
Indeed. And again, I will never take them for granted again, just having watched them last year compete and everything. And they take it seriously. But does the fleet number, is it more than 500 buses now?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. Yeah.
500 vehicles, and I know you
That's
have
buses, and then we also have the vans.
the vans
that are in Via Trans, and then
Via
we
Trans.
also have vehicles that we contract for in the Via Link service.
Via Link, right? The smaller ones that
Yes.
you'll definitely see.
Right.
Okay, so looking ahead, because I know you're constantly trying to evolve and grow and test out new technology. What would you like people to know about what's on the horizon once you've gone and set off into retirement? What's next for Via?
Well, really, the big next thing is the ART system, Advanced Rapid Transit. That is the big next thing because it's a next level up of service.
Okay.
We do not offer rapid transit service
Right.
here. We don't offer any rail, and for the record, I think that's a good thing.
You do?
I do.
Because a lot of people would respectfully disagree with you and be like,
They would.
Where is the rail?
And what I would say is you need rail when you need the capacity of a rail vehicle. You need that really high capacity.
Okay.
Our system right now and for the foreseeable future doesn't require the capacity.
Okay.
If you put in rail and you don't need the capacity, you're spending twice as much money as you need to. And you do not have flexibility because if a tree falls across that rail line during a storm, then your rail is stuck. You can't do anything. Even if I go all the way back to streetcar, which was kind of on the table when I first came to San
Right.
Antonio, I look at the construction in downtown and I think, had we invested in that streetcar, it would have been in the barn for the last 3 or 4 years because so much of that route was torn up in construction.
That's a good point.
A BRT, a bus rapid transit, what you call advanced rapid
Right.
transit, has the flexibility to get around those kinds of things. It also has flexibility. So when you get to the end of the portion that you've invested improvements in,
Right.
on a rail, you're done. That's the end of the line.
Yeah.
Get off, and then we figure out what to do. On a bus rapid transit, we just go out into the other lanes and we operate just like a bus, just like any other bus.
Okay.
And so on the green line,
I see what you're saying. Yes.
on the green line, our improvements go south to about Steve's, but we will take those buses on down to Brooks.
Okay.
So it gives us a huge amount of flexibility in what we do. But the best thing, frequency, 10-minute frequency.
10 minutes.
We are committed to that. In fact, to get the federal money, we have to operate 10-minute frequency.
What'd you say, the 3 F's? What is it?
Frequency.
Yeah, because, I can probably remember a time when it was an hour wait, and then you're like, well, let's get it down to 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And, well, let's get it down to half of that. And then, 10 minutes. And now with your phones, I would think, and people can look in real time and see, well, the bus will be here in 2 or 3 minutes.
We have so many ways in real time to track your bus.
Yeah. Okay, very good. So retirement, you're at peace with your time at Via and you're ready to pass it on to the next person?
I think it's a great time at this point.
It wasn't a difficult decision to make?
Oh, yeah, it was a difficult. I think it's for anybody. It's a difficult decision, right? Because I feel really great. I feel really healthy. I'm excited. I have energy. I'm excited about what we're doing.
Yeah.
But someone suggested to me, well, if you wait to retire until you're worn out and can barely move, what kind of retirement are you going to have? And I thought, you're right. That's probably correct. Right. I had kind of set in my own mind that I would retire by the time I was 70. And on February 2nd of next year, I will be 70.
Okay.
So
milestone birthday.
It works. Yeah.
Does that number in any way, shape, or form give you pause, or is it just another number?
It's just another number.
Okay.
It's a bid number, but it's just another number.
But if you feel like a 40, 50-year-old or a 30-year-old for that matter, it doesn't matter.
Right. Absolutely.
So what are some things, is it outdoorsy stuff, or what are some things that you will enjoy doing in your retirement?
Well, we will be relocating. I will be living 2 blocks from the Pacific Ocean. And so all the things one might imagine along the ocean. I those of you who know me, my hair is getting longer because I aspire to be that crazy old man who walks on the beach with a long hair. That's what my aspiration in retirement is.
How about that?
Yeah.
Well, that's a far cry from Indiana.
That'll be my, yes. It's a very far cry. I tell people all the time, when I grew up in Indiana, a very small town, I could not even conceive of leaving Indiana. I couldn't even conceive of that because it was, that kind of environment. Yeah. And I sit here today and look around, the time in Houston, San Jose and Houston and here and what I'm going to do. And it's just been, as Jimmy Stewart would say, it's a wonderful life.
Yeah, indeed. We all, so many of us love San Antonio, and someone like myself who left at one time and realized, okay, no, I'm going to come back. I love this place too much. But getting people around, there's so many good things to see in downtown. Seems to be evolving and exciting things are coming. But like we said earlier, you have so much real estate to cover. It's getting people there reliably. I mean, that's a 24-hour-a-day job.
And so what we're doing with the system is we're kind of breaking it into products, if you will, product groups.
Yeah.
And so, when you get out into the 1604 area and probably inside, you start getting development patterns which are not like what you have in the inner city.
Right.
You don't have grids. You don't have the regular spacing of roads. Many of your subdivisions are kind of fenced off.
Yeah.
So you could live right next to a bus stop, but have to walk a long way around to get to it.
Yeah.
And so that's when we, back in 2019, introduced the first VIA link zone.
Right.
The idea being that a bus serving that kind of development pattern is not as effective as something that's demand response and can get you anywhere.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of, if you think about the system as a whole, there'll be this ring of those kinds of zones that will connect in, and all our VIA link zones connect to the mainline buses.
Got it.
They will connect in the mainline buses, and then we'll have this group of high frequency services and rapid transit services that can get you around quickly within the core.
It's amazing when you think about, minor league baseball coming downtown, potentially another NBA arena, but you've still got Freeman Coliseum and Frost Bank, and then you've got, all, and it's growing. And as you know, I mean, it's just a lot of different, places to get people to. So it's exciting stuff. All right, a few more minutes with Jeff Arndt before he goes and rides off into the sunset or the Pacific Ocean, I guess. I asked you to bring a couple of mementos from your personal life, from your career. I have not seen these yet, so if you would, sir.
Sure.
What have you brought with you? And then we'll get to this guy here.
I'll start with professional.
Okay.
Semi-professional.
Very good.
All right, so when I first came to San Antonio, they told me, the former CEO said, CEOs typically get drafted into one of two fundraisers.
Uh-huh.
There's a boxing tournament.
Yes.
And there's this Renaissance with the Stars, which is a dancing kind of.
Okay.
To which I said, I'll order my dance shoes now.
You don't want to get
exactly
knocked out in the face.
So in 2016, I actually participated in Renaissance with the Stars.
Okay.
Right? It's a fundraiser for African American Fund. Through the San Antonio Foundation. I'm sorry, San Antonio Foundation. I'm not a dancer.
What kind of dance did you do?
We did a Broadway style dance. Only because my professional determined that if I was going to do any other kind of dance, I probably would never get it. I mean, let's be honest. So
it worked out.
My objective in doing that, aside from contributing to the process, was not to place last. Many people say I want to win. To me, winning was not being fifth. That was winning.
Third or fourth,
and it was held at the Tobin on the big stage, the big screen, guy with, just like in TV, a guy tracing you. I said, I go 60 some years, I don't dance, and the first time I dance, I'm on the big screen. Great. Well, I placed third or fifth. That was a major victory, and I was so happy and proud to get that. So that's my professional life.
Okay, and one more.
So one of the things I love about San Antonio,
is
the culture of San Antonio, and the fact that we are a very family-oriented culture. And
amen to that.
Always talk to people here that VIA is a family, and the spouses of the VIA employees are part of the family because they hear as much as anybody, what's going on.
Yeah, no,
I can promise you. And so your family is really, really deeply important to me in my heart.
I'm glad you feel that way.
So this was from my own family, right? And a couple Christmases ago, and so my daughter came from Houston. They live in Houston with my granddaughters, and they gave me this. And it says, "You're the father everyone wishes they had." So I immediately became a pool on the floor.
Yeah.
To which my daughter looked at her girls and said, "I told you." But this is the best gift they could have ever given me.
Well, that's awesome. Well, and being a grandfather too, now you're going to get more time to spend. How many grandkids do you have?
I have two. One is a junior at UTSA, actually.
There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Road runner in the making.
Yep.
Very good. Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. We get to spend some more time. All right. Well, as we wind down here with Jeff Arndt, wind down our time together and wind down his time at VIA, by the way, let me be the latest just to congratulate you on a great run. I know you said, I heard this somewhere, where it's not like when you came in 12, 13 years ago that VIA was a mess and you just made it all magically better. I mean, and you guys may not brag on yourselves, but I can. It's been a pretty good, well-run machine for a while.
Yeah.
You just helped to enhance it, I guess.
I think the difference between the VIA before I came here, and maybe with my predecessor, he was into this. I think VIA has always been a well-run bread and butter system.
Yes.
The former CEO, long-term CEO, had come from an accounting background.
Right.
So he ran it in that kind of manner.
Yeah.
Keep your head down. They weren't high visibility, but they were an important piece of the community.
Yeah.
And I think, and I really credit my first board chair, Henry Munoz, for helping VIA understand that you can do something more and greater than just the bread and butter. You don't have to keep yourself in that box. And I think what we've done over the last 10, 12 years, I had someone retire about 2 years ago, and he came up to me, he says, all the time I've been here until you got here, whenever there was a question about doing something, the first answer was always no.
Yeah.
And he says, and now the first answer is yes, how can we do it?
Oh, very good.
To me, that would be symbolic of what I have done, my team has done, and we're out there in the community a whole lot more. We're offering new service products.
Yeah.
We're staying ahead. We're really pushing technology. You'll see the QR codes on the bus stops.
Yeah.
We are the first city, I think, in the world to have that NaviLens system on all our bus stops.
Okay.
And they are designed to help people who are visually impaired. They have an app. You don't have to line it up. You don't have, like a restaurant menu, you just point in the general direction.
Oh, wow.
And it tells you how to get the stop and everything. And it also helps people who have vision. I've used it just to find out next bus arrival time.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That you're thinking about all those things. Yeah.
Yes.
ViaInfo.net, by the way, is a website if you want to find out more about all these things that Jeff has just talked about. ViaInfo.net. And again, maybe the next time you see one of those buses pass by on the highway or at the intersection, you'll just think a little bit more about what all goes into what they do. All right, so to close things out, about an hour or so ago before I came over here, Rachel, your fabulous marketing team, sent me the clips from those unbelievable 1980s VIA commercials with that fantastic jingle that has been in my head for 35 years. Those were you're starting to hum it right now, I think. It's so easy when you take the bus.
Yes.
Okay. Those were the Buppets back then. People were my age will remember those kind of like, loaf of bread sized buses that they were kind of, and they talked and their eyes moved and everything. So I'm guessing that this guy right here is a tribute to the Buppets of the 1980s.
Oh, no, this is more than that.
This is more than, well, he has a name, first of all. I'll let you introduce him.
El Jefe.
This is El Jefe.
This is El Jefe. He bears something of a resemblance to me, perhaps.
I see. Facial hair?
You have facial hair, and now my hair is going to get longer than that, I promise you. But this is, I think, what I would say is the harbinger of the future, because in 2025, I think you can expect to see El Jefe and his family returning.
Because my wife, on my way out the door, my wife was like, are they going to bring those back? Like, because whoever the marketing genius who came up with that and the jingle and just, I think it still lands well all these years later. I
do too. And I have, frankly, been begging for several years. Bring them back. Marketing people like to always come up with something different.
I want people to see him. Yeah, there you go. He's like the legit bus right there.
He's a legit bus. And he's a legit puppet too. You can
put your hands in. Well, I will. I'll spare you that.
Yeah, right.
But El Jefe, now you stay still.
Yes.
Okay. When you saw this for the first time, what's that reaction?
Yes, it was a complete surprise. We did the State of Transit where we kind of update the community every year. When I finished, I went to go off stage. They called me back on, and they presented me with El Jefe. And let me know that, yes, we did listen to you, and after you leave, we'll bring him back.
So he's not going to the Pacific Ocean with you?
Oh, no, he is going with me.
He's going.
Yeah, they're going to have to come up with El Jefe, too.
They're going to have to. I love it. I just love it. Well, again, VIA is just full of smart people that continue to innovate and re-innovate, from the marketing, from just the technology,
Right.
the visually impaired stuff you were talking about, the QR codes. I think you would agree that the future of the company is in good hands. And
Oh, absolutely.
whoever your successor
Absolutely.
is.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, enjoy your time. Have a margarita for me, or whatever the case may be. There on the Pacific Ocean. Congratulations on
Thank you.
an amazing run here at VIA.
Thanks very much. It's been a pure joy.
There you have it. Jeff Arndt, ladies and gentlemen, the soon-to-be former president and CEO of VIA. But we got you for what, 25 more days? You said work days?
25 more days in the office.
In the office. Okay. Good stuff. Good to see you, sir. Thank you very
Good to
much.
see you, too.
All right, there you have it. El Jefe, thank you, by the way.
You're welcome.
I was going to ask, you do ventriloquism as well? Yeah, there it is. So many times. He dances. He does ventriloquism.
Yeah. Who
so
knows
many
what?
things.
Who knows what?
You'll be surfing probably in the Pacific Ocean soon. Very good. All right, there you have it. Jeff Arndt and another episode of Pickup Lines. We'll be back again very soon. Be safe. Have a great weekend. VIAinfo.net. One more time is the website. Until next time, bye for now.